Alright, what's up guys? Today we're going to do a radio install in this '07 Jeep Commander. It's got the Boston acoustic system. It's going to go ahead and get a new touchscreen. I'm going to try to interface the backup camera. The steering wheel controls should stay. It's Bluetooth. That's going to be staying. Yeah, it's going to be using the Maestro RR to go ahead and try and retain that Boston acoustic system. Make sure there's no CDs in it. Wow.
Hi, Daddy.
Hi, baby. It's not putting out any CDs, so we're going to go ahead and assume there are no CDs stuck in this bad boy. You need to remove some of this trim. What? I'm going to pull all this out for the phone connectivity. There's a 7mm screw under there. It's a 5mm screw in all of these Allen's recesses. Steering wheel down as far as I can get it. So we'll pull off. 7mm or a Phillips to get these screws out. Pull it out. Disconnect all the connectors. Board. This panel off. And I'm just going to be drilling a hole through the top of this pocket that will allow me to drop the female USB end. Antenna adapter, just like that. That did not feel good. Actually felt way tighter than normal. It felt really good. And I'm going to install the Bluetooth mic real quick. It's going to go up in this corner. And I like to do a little wrap or two around into these mics. Alright, and that's laid. Cable go down behind the airbag. Start reaching here. Let's see if... A lot of times people install Bluetooth mics up here at the top of the windshield, right on the headliner here somewhere in this area. I've kind of stopped liking doing that because if anyone takes their vehicle to go get a new windshield, as this one needs, there's a chance that the glass installers will cut that cable as they're coming around with their windshield removal knife. There's a lot of them because they've been cut. Put all the slack behind the radio. I'm going to zip tie it to a pre-existing harness so it tucks up out of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and connect into the factory backup camera circuit. And what I've got here is just a 2-conductor wire tied into a RCA that's from a radio harness of some type, but I'm going to go ahead and strip some of the leads. Got all the wiring colors right here, if anyone ever needs them. Into the camera, which is green and brown, right there. I'm going to cut into the insulation. Take my knife. Cut back the insulation. Use the blade to split the strands. Leave me a hole. Then, because that is the positive, I'm going to use this positive of my pigtail. Go into it. Close the strands and wrap around the wire. And done. Next wire is green and orange. And now, just like that, all of the wires as well, just to keep it all strain relieved. And now I have a splice out for the factory backup camera. Splice into the factory overhead DVD player's audio. So I'm going to peel back some of this Just like before, I actually made a pigtail for the two audio. It shares common ground, so there's only 3 wires coming out. The ground shields are the gray and dark green. Right there. Right positive is the dark green and light blue. Just going to do my red. And the left positive is going to be the gray and light green. That's that. But there we go. All of our wiring pigtailed out for the new unit. RR does something pretty cool to talk to the data system on this vehicle. Is they provide a OBD2 plug that goes to the Maestro harness. RR does something pretty cool to talk to the data system on this vehicle. Is they provide a OBD2 plug that goes to the Maestro harness. All it does is plug in down here. The wiring is going to get tucked up and then pass through the paneling and up to the radio harness. I'd probably recommend not splicing into the back of the wiring, which could be possible. You could remove these wires and actually splice it in so that the OBD2 port is still accessible. But in my opinion, this needs to be noticed by, in case this customer ever takes it to the dealership can then unplug this, plug in their scan tool, talk to the computer, and not have to worry about any kind of data clash. You don't want this and the main harness talking at the same time in a lot of vehicles because it will cause that data clash. Here we are. Install the end of the USB through this pocket from the back side here, and the best way to do that is a step bit. There's half of it. But I'm going to go ahead and take the nips and cut cut away that fits in there. Just like that. A good way to know which side's the top is look at the back of the kit, and whichever way the writing is right side up, or if it says top, that's how you know it's the top. Left, just lay that down, upside down. It's good. That looks actually really good. Now, always use the screws that come with the radio if you can, because their thread is matched. And they give you 6 screws, so 3 on each side. Try and use as many as you can. So now the next step is going to be connecting everything to the harness. This is the CH2 harness that they sell for the Maestro RR. And in this vehicle's case, it uses the Boston acoustic system. Then make sure that you're not pinned for standard system. Double check for the amplified system. They've done something really cool. For the case of the factory amplified, we can still connect the Kenwood's front speaker wiring to the front speaker wiring here. All we have to do is swap over the polarity of these 2 plugs. And what that does is aligns everything to where everything on the factory side of the pin is actually wired color for color still. Now, in this case, I still do not have to use the speaker rear wiring, so that saves me some connections that just don't need to be made. So, that being said, I'm going to remove those out of this and take them up. No. Now, same thing with the Kenwood harness. Personally, I like to cut them all to the same length, unless it's ridiculously short, like some of the Pioneers leave their speaker wiring really short, and in that case, I do not do that. Brake and the reverse signal can be cut to the same length as the other wiring, because I know that all of that is in this Idatalink harness. The remote output, blue and white, pull that loose. I do not think I need the amplified antenna. I do see the illumination circuit, so we're going to pull that out. And the steering wheel remote input. Kenwood uses a wired input. Alpine, Pioneer, and Sony use a auxiliary style jack. Now these wires can be taped up. These are the rear speaker outputs. The reason you always want to use, even on amplified systems, especially Chryslers, you want to use the front speaker outputs of a Kenwood or JVC, because when you go into hands-free calling mode, it only plays out of the front speakers anyway, so you'll install it and find out that you have no sound in Bluetooth. These make quick work of speaker wiring and radio harnesses. One quick tip I have for anyone that solders wires together in a butt-to-butt configuration like this is do not ever flood the whole joint with solder. It only needs it right in the center. That's it. If you make the whole joint full of solder, it makes it not flexible at all. I mean, this isn't very flexible even with it just barely flowed in there, but if you ever flood the whole thing, it's just a big point where it's going to flex and want to break at the ends. At least this has a little bit of give.
So tie it in the back. So tie it in the back. So tie it. Tape. So tie.
Alright, now that is everything for the harness. Now you can use Tessa tape to tape this up, but you know what, we're not trying to waste money. This jack will not get used. Only used in Alpine swings and Pioneers.
Baby King.
You're gonna get that stuck. What I'm gonna do is tape up the Idatalink audio jack that goes to the harness and the data connection. Something different.
No. Yeah.
I've already set up Internet Explorer, which is a nightmare if you're on Windows 10 apparently. So make sure you get everything set up and ready, a web link working before diving in too deep. But once it's all done and everything's working, it's going to pull up, it's going to detect the module, Jeep 07, Commander, one steering wheel. The radio is a Kenwood DDX 6705S, and it needs the serial number. Put in the radio serial number. Alright, CH2 harness. Now it gives the option of doing steering wheel controls, factory amplifier, yes, gauges, yes, vehicle info, yes, radar detector integration. That's going to be for some of the higher end radar detectors. It'll be installed. This vehicle does not have that. We're not going to have that, so skip that. This is where you can remap all the steering wheel buttons. I believe I like the way this looks. I like that. Now we are flashing. Flashing complete. Back in the car, ready to start actually putting everything in. So now I'm going to actually drop the USB real quick, because it's going to come down to this lower section. Before I get too far, I want to test fit the unit perfect. I don't have to trim anything. This is the factory GPS antenna for navigation. The customer did not want to go with the navigation unit on the new one. The Maestro conglomeration of everything. This will be the wiring that will go to the head unit. Everything else in the back will go out. Now, one thing I did have to do is this Kenwood does not use an RCA left and right audio in. What it uses is it's kind of cool. What it uses is an auxiliary style in. So I had to use a RCA to auxiliary cable all the way up with the main harness. That's going to be for the audio in from the factory DVD player. So had to use a couple extra little parts. The main plug, and make sure your pins are lined up. Man, these just look so out of place, but they're good there. Try and make sure none of these pins bend while sticking them in. I'll need to line up great. It might be something y'all want to check on Idatalink is some of the pins are kind of cattywampus in the plug. If anyone from Idatalink is watching this, maybe put somebody on double checking these pins out as it comes out the harness. Hey, silly Canadians. That's it. Alright, the backup camera. Out here. Here's my can high and low. It's going to get plugged in right. Where are you? I think it's a pigtail coming off of here, right there. That's it, bingo. Yeah, everything's plugged in. It's the stuff part. Good stuff. They did that for years. You'd run that USB somewhere and then take out the unit for a troubleshooter. Just wanted to strangle somebody. Now time for the data plugs for the Idatalink. Now, not all radios are going to have this capability. So, first thing to look at is if your vehicle supports the Idatalink data mode. If it does support it or not. Find out what features you're actually going to gain if it's after, if you even want it at all. In this vehicle, you do gain some features, it says, so that was kind of cool. That's why I recommended it. But you figure out if your vehicle has some of those features, then make sure you shop for a radio that does Idatalink data mode. Oh, look at all stuff. Camera interruption on. Parking guidelines, we'll see. They may be pretty decent. Still, I would never trust them. The most important thing with Kenwood is demo off. Camera display, key color. Let's set it to like a OEM looking one. That'd be kind of cool, right? Is it just green or white? Let's just do green. Viewing angle. I think this is the brightness. Clever on Kenwood's end. Finish. Now, let's play some audio, I guess. What, does it not have a... You telling me this thing doesn't have FM radio?
The top down and 99.5 The Fox on iHeartRadio.
So it doesn't look like it's showing. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Reverse. Oh yeah. Hey, it's not the greatest picture, but it works. That's the factory camera, so. To say, if anything, the volume is very really loud really early on, so this might be a good candidate for like a what do they call it, ISV 61. It's a 4-channel, it's like a line out converter, but it's able to do separate gain settings. AVN, that should be our DVD player. Let's see if I can turn that on. It uses a remote, so they're just gonna have to try it on their own if it uses a remote. I don't have that remote, so and drop that USB, put this panel back on. The thing auto manufacturers will never do is give a healthy amount of wire harness. Although this is not the worst. Okay, now, wouldn't you know it, installation is reverse oven removal. Would not recommend over torquing these. I'm gonna be honest, these screws, although they hold the dash on, they are just for decoration. And Chrysler is known for having some weak plastic after some years on it. I wonder if they look for a new one of these. I don't. Now, for this one, I'm just gonna go just like that. Boom, we are done. Alright, so this is something actually really cool. Totally cool. Earlier I was talking about one thing I didn't like about this is that the volume was a lot higher at low volume that the amp was putting out. If you go into the setup factory amp settings, you can adjust the gain through the Maestro. That is awesome, guys. Idatalink, y'all did it once again.
What we call Van Hagar with Why Can't This Be Love?
That is awesome, Idatalink. Cannot believe that. Overall, I am super impressed. Oh, that's cool. One thing I haven't rumbled across in here is the fader and balance setting. I'm real curious if that's going to work. Fader balance, let's see. Does it. Usually with digital amps you can't retain that, but through the Maestro R it is allowing that. Very, very cool. A lot of cool features in this radio. Kenwood, seems like they stepped up the game a little bit. Cool though, super impressed. Very, very cool. Alright guys,